So Jurassic World Rebirth isn't just stopping with the brand new trailer 2 that we got this week, but on the very same day, Dr. Pepper decided to post up a behind the scenes brand new look at the movie. And of course, today we're going to go in depth and in detail and breaking down everything we know, because there's actually some details about the Velociraptors of Jurassic World Rebirth, a dinosaur we've actually not technically got to see yet. Of course, we know what the render of this dinosaur does look like, but we've only literally seen the foot or the claws of this dinosaur in trailer 1, and we haven't seen anything of it from the movie since then. So this is kind of giving us a little bit more in-depth detail about what to expect for these dinosaurs, and if they're actually in the movie at all, which we'll get into later on. But before we do get into, the best way to support our content creation efforts here on YouTube is to go to the description and go and purchase some Rebirth inspired merchandise from our merch store. Of course, when you sit down watching the movie, you want to be on theme, right? So go ahead and purchase your clothing right now. But for now, let's get into the video where we'll be breaking down more scenes from Jurassic World Rebirth. So starting us off with the very first shot of this behind the scenes look, we get a wide angle of the surrounding area around the petrol station, which kind of gives us a better understanding of what's going on here. Within this shot, we get to see the Jeep, the futuristic Jeep, that clearly Martin is sat in it, and we do know that Martin and Zora try to escape the Mutodon with this Jeep, judged by trailer 2. But also in the surrounding area, we get to see some floodlights, we can see some foliage around the area, suggesting that it's probably set up for a very creepy way for the dinosaurs to stalk the characters and walk into frame. But you can also see there's a lot of smoke in the area. So why is this? Well, on another shot within this same sequence, we can see that there is a fictional quill tech company which seems to be powering the petrol station, but they also are confirmed to be powered by geothermal. But the thing is, there is clearly something in the top right of the word geothermal, so maybe it might be another company and this is just a copyright symbol. But if it is just generically powered by geothermal power, then clearly this is what is going on here. We can clearly see the smoke around the area because it was, or at least is, powered by geothermal. But at the same time, this could be a really neat nod to Isla Sorna, which is also another island in the franchise that was powered by geothermal. But in some shots, we can actually see the power slowly turn back on in the station, which could mean that the island is also all running on individual backup generators. We know that the lab, for example, we can see the Mutodon name flick on and off via trailer 2, and then we get to see the lights flicker on and off in the petrol station as if they're turning back on. So to me, whilst it does say powered by geothermal, there is still an opportunity here for some individual areas to be powered by backup generators after nearly 2 decades of being abandoned. In the background, we can see the company Amstel Beer, which happens to be from the Netherlands. Now, why is this interesting? Well, Suriname's national language is Dutch, as I believe they were once ruled by the Netherlands. And of course, as we know, Suriname does play a part within this movie, as we see from trailer 1, where they go and recruit Duncan Kincaid to their crew. There's a few new shots of the family running into the petrol station, but a lot of the products on the shelves are actually home use products, such as Tampax and toilet paper, and there's even some Dr. Pepper scattered around. So to me, this actually suggests that this is a petrol station for people who resided on the island, not them who just went to work and decided to just work there. These are products that, you have in your everyday life, in your everyday household. So I think actually there was a lot of people working and living on this island, not just traveling to and from. And again, the Dr. Pepper sponsorship is in full force here, and this actually confirms that Dr. Pepper exists within this universe, something we didn't previously know. But interestingly enough, these cans and bottle designs are also from the early 10s. Again, we suspect that this island was abandoned in 2011, so that would actually add up quite nicely. There's a Panavision camera, which we did discuss in a few breakdowns before here on the channel, but it's actually coated in the old school Jurassic Park theme, green and red colours. Of course, that doesn't have any impact whatsoever to the movie, but at least it's a nice touch and detail for behind the scenes. But once again, moving straight into the interior of the petrol station, we can see that it is riddled with minuscule amounts of water on the floor. This could actually confirm that the Velociraptor shot from trailer 1 actually takes place within this petrol station, and the way that we see the claws on the floor stepping in the water could be one of the characters underneath watching all of this unfold. To me, I feel like that's enough confirmation to confirm that the Velociraptor scene takes place in this petrol station. But then we go back to the exterior, and honestly, I'm in love with this exterior of this area. It just looks so good. It looks very The Lost World style. The shots and the vibe just matches that movie very, very similarly. And honestly, it reminds me of that one petrol scene from The Lost World Jurassic Park with Ian Malcolm. And I feel like they've done a really good job here to kind of grab the feel from Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park, whilst also simultaneously keeping it within the Jurassic World vibe as well. But this is where we get to talk about the Velociraptors just a little bit more. We can see that there are some Velociraptor stand-ins with Xavier Dobbs, Henry Loomis, Zora Bennett, and Duncan Kincaid all standing together. This is actually our very first assumption of how the Velociraptor scene goes down. These dinosaurs will come face to face with at least these 4 characters. But also within this scene, in the bottom left, we can see a much better look at that Jurassic Park old school vibe on the Panavision camera that's being used. But keeping on topic with the Velociraptors of this movie, we can see that the stand-in at least one of the stand-ins is flicking the head up and down every now and then. And I actually believe that's the Velociraptor using its vocals. Of course, as we know in the franchise, when Velociraptors like to make that specific sound, they tilt their head upwards and they make that sound. So that's what I presume is going on here, and that's why he's flicking the head up and down. Now there are just a minuscule amount of new shots showcasing more of this scene, but one that I really want to focus on here is specifically with Xavier Dobbs. Within this scene, we actually see Henry Loomis still facing forward, presumably to the Velociraptors that haven't been CGI'd in yet, but Xavier decides to turn around whilst Henry is still face to face with these said Velociraptors. So that makes me question, why is he turning around in this specific moment? Surely you want your eyes to be on the predators in front of you, right? Well, let's use our thinking caps here a little bit and think this through. I think it's safe to say that all of us already know from the Empire magazine that these Velociraptors end up being scared away by something. And since we know that the Mutodon scene takes place within the petrol station, what I think is going on here is that the Velociraptors are facing off with these characters, but then they are scared off by something. And what if that something is actually the Mutodon? So I believe that it's actually the Mutodon that scares off these Velociraptors, and that's why Xavier turns around. He senses that there's a worse predator behind the characters, and they actually seem cornered at first, but with the Velociraptors running away, they're then guided into that area where the vehicle and of course the petrol station actually is, and then I presume the petrol station scene takes place. To me, that's the only explanation as to why Xavier would actually turn around from facing Velociraptors, because he actually knows that there's a bigger predator behind them, which would be the Mutodon. But that does make me think, what kind of role are the Velociraptors going to have in this movie? Is this literally going to be it? Are they really just going to have this mediocre cameo appearance? It's going to be the Jurassic Park 3 Ceratosaurus all over again. They just appear for a few seconds, get scared by something, and run away. Which is a great shame, because I think the model for the Velociraptor looks amazing in this movie. But we once again return back to the inside of the petrol station, and we see Isabella, the child, that seems to be terrified of something as she slowly moves away and has a sheer look of terror on her face. Perhaps this is the scene where they realize that the Velociraptors are actually in the station, and the Velociraptors end up chasing them out. Judging by the surroundings and the fact that this could be a Velociraptor, I feel like what we're looking at here is an upscaled version in a different setting of the Jurassic Park kitchen scene, which honestly, I'm happy to see some kind of a return, not redoing the same thing over and over again like we got in Camp Cretaceous and soon to be Jurassic Park the video game. But also within this scene, I noticed there are actually 2 new people in the background. I'm not too sure who they are exactly, but since they don't look like any of the cast members to be confirmed so far, I just presume that these are just a couple crewmates just standing in the background, and they were basically told that they won't be in the shot of the scene, so it's okay to stand in the background there. But watch the movie and tell me if you notice them, because we're going to keep our eyes out for that. So that's pretty much all of the visuals broken down, but within this sequence, we actually hear quite often from Gareth Edwards and David Koepp that they wanted to make it feel like we're in a natural environment within our world, surrounded by dinosaurs at the same time. Now, of course, that isn't a direct quote, but let's just listen to what they have to say.
This whole sequence, it's why you come to see a Jurassic film. I think you want to be scared. I really wanted some visual in the movie that felt familiar.
The idea here is that putting the dinosaurs into our environment, someplace that we traditionally feel safe, is exciting and scary.
The gas station is probably the bit that just feels like something reminiscent of your home life, where there's snacks and magazines on the shelf. As absurd as it might feel, Jurassic There's something about it that feels really natural. And the second these creatures turn up, you're like, I've always expected this moment. I knew it was coming. And you hold on to your loved ones because this thing's going to kill either you or them.
Now, I might be looking too deeply into this, but judging by the way that they talk about wanting dinosaurs to be in that natural feeling for us humans, I don't know, it sounds like they're kind of setting up to eventually have a mainland storyline in the future of the Jurassic franchise. And this is something that the fans have wanted for so long. This is something that Jurassic World Dominion set up amazingly throughout the movie and at the end, and I feel like that's where a lot of people were expecting Jurassic World Rebirth to go. And of course, with the comments being made by the director feeling like they have set up a new trilogy here within the franchise, I won't be surprised if this is a little tease towards maybe a sequel to Rebirth being set on the mainland in a more human environment. People want to see that, and I'll be honest, I think it's the majority opinion at this point in time. People want to see dinosaurs trying to coexist with humans and obviously failing, adding in some horror elements, some fear elements, and some action elements to kind of satisfy the whole fan base of Jurassic. But yes, I may be looking just a bit too deeply into that, but it's just interesting that they mentioned that a few times. So yeah, that's all of the new footage that we got from this behind the scenes shot thanks to Dr. Pepper, and a lot of it actually starts to add up a little bit with the Mutodons and the Velociraptors. At first glance, you don't really think too much about what we saw in this, but when we think deeply into it and add in details from other sources, we can kind of piece together what's going on here. The Velociraptors seem to only have a cameo appearance, which would be very, very upsetting if that's the case. Fingers crossed it isn't, but I'm interested to know what you guys think, so head on down to the comments and let me know what you think about the Velociraptors in Jurassic World Rebirth, and whether or not you think that they deserve to have more of a limelight than the Mutodon. Don't forget to also leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Make sure to get your Rebirth inspired merchandise on the merch store via a link in the description, but most importantly, make sure you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, did you enjoy the video? Well, why not leave a like and subscribe for more Jurassic content? I appreciate every single one of you for reaching this point into the video and supporting me this far. If you wish to support me even further, then feel free to head on down to the description where you can find links to donate, my Patreon, and you can also press that join button to become a member here on YouTube and gain access to some awesome emojis. A massive thank you to all of the YouTube members for this month, as well as the amazing fans over on Patreon too. Your extra bit of support really goes a long way. But for now, I wish you a great rest of your day.